eat ethically and what to eat has been a long concern of mine, and I've struggled with this because I in terms of being a vegetarian, like I said, I'm not a strict vegetarian, but I think there are some good arguments to be made in terms of vegetarianism. One is in terms of basically what we're talking about right now, the climate change issue. Another is, and this is something I think it's a personal thing, it's basically ethics in terms of how we treat animals. I'm personally not very fond of CAFOs because of how the animals are treated. I do think maybe that I'm not so much concerned about those because of waste management. That's another issue. But I think there's ethical issues there. I think in terms of health, we know for a long time that a diet heavy in meat is probably not a healthy diet, and that's fairly well documented. I think that, you know, even the United States Department of Agriculture, when they put out these food pyramids, really tells you to limit your meat consumption. So there's lots of reasons. Now, what do we need to exist as humans? We need calories, we need a certain amount of vitamins and minerals, and we need some protein. We certainly need protein, and you can't get protein from carrots, but there's...
That's not true. Carrots have protein.
They do have some.
Absolutely. Everything has protein in it.
Everything, but not in the quantities. So if you look at how much protein you need, it's probably more than you think. I mean, something I've started doing actually is as I take protein supplements because I work out and it's something that, you know, I'm concerned about how much protein I get. Let me read you something. If there were, and this is out of this article on diet and global warming, if there were no animal-based food production at all plant-based food production would have to increase. We know this. However, such a hypothetical transition would produce zero methane and nitrous oxide emissions in the categories considered above: animal waste management and enteric fermentation, that's what happens in the guts of animals, by ruminants. Ignored categories, principally soil management, will indeed have to increase, but over an area far smaller than that vacated by eliminating feed production for animals. These two guys, they report that per unit of protein produced, meat production requires 6 to 17 times as much land as soy. 6 to 17 times as much land as soy per protein. So if you're trying to produce protein, you know, you can produce a lot more protein on less land if you just have a vegetarian diet. The reason there's a country like India with something like 1 million people, and a lot of those are vegetarians, and you know, they're fairly healthy people, a lot of them, is because most of them, you know, that's how they support them. If we eliminated all the CAFOs in this country and just had grazing animals, we couldn't buy the amount of, we wouldn't be able to produce the amount of meat that we do. You couldn't go to Schnucks and buy steak and chicken for the prices you pay for it now. It would be a lot more expensive because there would be less of it. There is 300 million people in this country, and we simply cannot, just by grazing alone, produce all the meat that we need. We need to have the farms. Yes, you can't eat the corn that's grown in Illinois. There's a reason for that. That corn is only bred for animals. It's not the sort of corn that we would want to eat. It's not Silver Queen or any sort of nice corn that you buy at the supermarket. It's corn that's bred, it's an industrial feed product that's bred for animal consumption. And as far as other countries are concerned, I mean, I agree that there's some land areas that's all we can do with it is graze animals. So I'm not advocating just totally eliminating meat consumption and becoming a vegan vegetarian. I'm saying that we should be thinking about maybe eating less meat and thinking about how it's produced. And one other point, if we did do this, if we actually were more on a vegetarian diet, I mean, one of the things I like to do is I'm kind of an environmentalist. I like to hike and stuff like that. Think of all the prairies in Illinois and Iowa and that have been plowed over and converted into farm fields. All the prairies, the prairie lands are the most endangered ecosystems in the United States. They've all been converted into agricultural lands. So, whereas you go out west, you find mountains and forests and stuff like that. We've lost our native ecosystems, which are the prairies. I mean, there are a few tiny little spots of prairies around, but most of that's gone, and with a huge impact on wildlife too. So those are some other ethical issues here. So.